Hey everyone, welcome to a deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking into Ikigai,
Yeah.
this fascinating Japanese concept, and we're going to be uncovering its secrets. And to help us with this, we'll be using excerpts from the book Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life,
Oh, great.
and a few other intriguing sources. So, are you ready to discover your reason for getting out of bed every morning?
Absolutely. I think Ikigai, it's not just about fleeting happiness. It's more about having that deep sense of purpose. It's what makes life feel truly meaningful, I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
And the word itself, it roughly translates to the happiness of always being busy,
Oh, wow.
which, might sound a little bit counterintuitive at first, I think.
It does when you first say it. It
Yeah.
makes me think of those days when I'm like totally absorbed in a project and I completely lose track of time.
Yeah.
And those moments feel incredibly fulfilling. But how does that tie into a longer, happier life?
Well, the book focuses on the Okinawan people, specifically those living on the island of Okinawa in Japan. And this place is known for having an exceptionally high concentration of centenarians. So it seems that embracing Ikigai might be one of their secrets,
Wow, that's intriguing. But is there any evidence to suggest that Ikigai directly contributes to longevity?
Yeah.
Or could it be that they're simply more active and engaged in life,
Right.
which in turn leads to better health?
That's a really great question, and the book doesn't offer any concrete scientific proof, but it does explore the cultural and philosophical underpinnings of Ikigai
Okay.
and how it shapes the Okinawan lifestyle. So, for example, they have this really interesting concept of moai.
Moai.
Yeah, which are essentially social support groups
Oh,
that provide a sense of belonging and purpose.
wow.
So imagine having this close-knit group of friends who share your interests and they're there for you no matter what.
Yeah.
That kind of social connection can have a really, profound impact on well-being.
Well, it definitely makes sense, intuitively at least. Having strong social connections, it reduces stress, it offers support, it even encourages healthy behaviors, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But the book also mentions Ogimi, the village of longevity, where the residents, even in their 80s and 90s, are incredibly active and social. Do you think that's solely due to Moai, or are there other factors at play?
It's likely a combination of factors,
Yeah.
and the book goes into quite a few of them. But the story of Ogimi highlights how having that strong sense of community
Yeah.
can contribute to having a vibrant and fulfilling life, even in later years.
It kind of reminds me of Viktor Frankl's idea of logotherapy, where finding meaning in life is crucial for overall well-being. So it sounds like Ikigai might be like the Okinawan version of that.
That's a really fascinating parallel. They both emphasize the importance of having a reason to get up in the morning, something that drives you, gives your life direction. And the Okinawans seem to have really woven this into their culture in a way that benefits individuals and the community as a whole.
So it's not just about finding like your individual passion, it's about contributing to something larger than yourself.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
The book suggests that many Okinawans, they find their ikigai in serving their community, whether it's through volunteering, caregiving, or simply just being an active and engaged member of their social circles. And this sense of purpose contributes to their overall sense of well-being.
That's a really beautiful idea. But let's get practical for a second. The book also dives into like some specific longevity secrets practiced by the Okinawans. And one that caught my eye was the emphasis on stress reduction through mindfulness. Now, I've dabbled in mindfulness myself, but I'm really curious to hear how they approach it.
Sure, their approach seems to be really deeply rooted in their everyday lives.
Oh, okay.
The book actually quotes a mindfulness instructor, Roberto Alcibar,
Yeah.
and he talks about turning off the autopilot
Oh, I like that.
and becoming more present in everyday activities. So it's about savoring a meal, appreciating nature, or simply just paying attention to your breath as you go about your day.
That sounds lovely. Honestly, in our fast-paced world, finding those moments of stillness can feel so challenging.
It-
Do they offer any practical tips
Right.
for incorporating mindfulness into a busy schedule?
They do. The book highlights the importance of creating rituals.
Oh, okay.
And incorporating mindfulness into everyday routines. So it could be as simple as starting your day with a few minutes of meditation
Huh.
or taking a mindful walk during your lunch work. It's just about finding those pockets of time where you can disconnect from, the hustle and bustle
Yeah.
and reconnect with yourself.
Okay, that feels a lot more doable. Another principle that really stood out to me was their approach to eating.
Okay.
They practice something called harahachibu, which translates to eating until you're 80% full. Now, it sounds like a really simple concept, But I'm curious, how does it play out in their culture?
It goes beyond just portion control, I think.
Okay.
The book explains that it's more about mindful eating,
Hmm.
so savoring each bite, appreciating the flavors, and being in tune with your body's signals of fullness. So it's practice that fosters, a healthier relationship with food, and it might contribute to their longevity. And this contrasts quite a bit with, Western culture, where overeating is often encouraged
Yeah.
and portion sizes can be huge.
You're right. I never even thought about the cultural differences in portion sizes. It's like they've built this mindful approach to eating into their lifestyle,
Hmm.
whereas we're often battling against cultural norms that encourage excess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This simple practice of hara hachibu, it highlights this, deep respect for their bodies
Hmm.
and a focus on balance and moderation, which seem to be recurring themes in their approach to life.
It makes you wonder if adopting some of these Okinawan practices could have a similar impact on our own lives.
It's definitely worth considering, I think, but there's still more to uncover.
Oh, there is. Okay.
The book also dives into how they keep their minds sharp as they age. It seems maintaining an active mind is just as important as a healthy body.
This is where it gets really fascinating. I'm really eager to hear more about how they approach mental well-being and longevity. So let's dive in. So we've talked about the importance of community and mindfulness and that mindful eating thing in the Okinawan approach to life.
Yeah.
But the book also dives into how they keep their minds sharp, even as they age.
Right.
And it seems that, maintaining an active mind is just as important as a healthy body when it comes to longevity.
Absolutely. The book highlights the work of neuroscientist Shlomo Brusnitz,
Uh,
who suggests that, challenging our brains with new information, it creates new neural connections.
mm.
Much like physical exercise strengthens our muscles,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's about keeping our minds engaged and curious.
So it's not just about crossword puzzles and Sudoku.
Yeah.
What kind of activities do they recommend?
They go beyond like the traditional brain games.
Okay.
The book suggests that anything that challenges us intellectually can be beneficial, from learning a new language or a musical instrument to engaging in complex problem-solving activities, or even just having stimulating conversations with others.
Sounds like it's about embracing lifelong learning and staying curious about the world around us.
Yeah.
It makes me think of those moments when I learned something new and I feel that spark of excitement. I
Right.
can see how cultivating that sense of wonder could contribute to a more vibrant life.
Exactly. The book even suggests that these new experiences can help revitalize the brain, keeping it young and adaptable.
Oh, wow.
And speaking of staying young, the Okinawans also seem to have a good grasp on the importance of sleep.
I was actually surprised to read about the science behind sleep and longevity in the book.
Yeah.
It mentioned that melatonin, which helps regulate our sleep cycles, declines after the age of 30.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit, I hadn't realized that.
Yeah, it's fascinating how much we're still learning about sleep. But what's really interesting is that the book goes beyond just saying, get enough sleep. It offers practical tips on how to improve the quality of our sleep.
Yeah, I was impressed by the depth of their approach.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about counting sheep. What were some of the suggestions that stood out to you?
They emphasize the importance of creating a consistent sleep schedule,
Okay.
even on weekends, to regulate your body's natural rhythms.
Oh, right.
They also suggest limiting screen time before bed,
Yeah.
as the blue light emitted from devices can interfere with melatonin production,
Yeah, makes sense.
and creating a calming bedtime routine, such as taking a warm bath or reading a book,
Yeah.
can also help signal to your body that it's time to wind down.
It seems like they've created a holistic approach to sleep that goes beyond just the number of hours.
Right.
It's about creating an environment and a mindset that promotes restful and rejuvenating sleep.
And it makes sense considering how crucial sleep is for our physical and mental health.
Yeah.
It affects everything from our mood and cognitive function to our immune system and even our risk of chronic diseases.
Okay, so we've covered mindfulness, eating, mental stimulation, and sleep.
Right.
What else can we learn from the Okinawans about living a longer, happier life? The book also delves into their diet, which I'm really curious to hear more about.
Their diet is truly fascinating.
Yeah.
And it reflects a deep connection to their environment and traditions.
Uh-huh.
The book emphasizes the importance of variety and nutrient density, encouraging us to eat the rainbow by incorporating a wide array of colorful fruits and vegetables into our daily meals.
You know, it's funny because the book also mentions how their diet contrasts with, typical Western diets,
Right.
which are often so high in processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about the impact our dietary choices have on our overall health.
Absolutely. The Okinawan diet is based on whole, unprocessed foods,
Okay.
with a strong emphasis on plant-based proteins like tofu and an abundance of fresh, locally sourced produce. They also consume plenty of fish, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are known for their heart-healthy benefits.
It sounds delicious and incredibly healthy.
Yeah.
The book also mentions their relatively low intake of sugar and salt, which seems to be a key factor in their longevity.
Yeah.
Do they have any, unique ingredients or dishes that contribute to their well-being?
They do. The book highlights the use of green tea,
Oh, yeah.
known for its antioxidant properties, and shikawasa.
Shikawasa.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that. What does it taste like?
It's a tart and tangy citrus fruit, similar to a lime, but with a slightly sweeter note. The book suggests that it's packed with a flavonoid called nobiletin,
Okay.
which has been linked to various health benefits, including protection against certain types of cancer and improved cognitive function.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if incorporating some of these traditional Okinawan ingredients into our diets could have a similar impact on our health and longevity.
Yeah.
It's definitely food for thought.
It's fascinating to see how their diet reflects their deep connection to nature and their cultural heritage. It's not just about what they eat, but how they eat.
Yeah.
They emphasize the importance of slow food, savoring each bite, and eating in a mindful and communal setting.
You mentioned their deep connection to nature, and the book also touches on the spiritual side of Okinawan culture
Right.
and how it might contribute to their sense of purpose and well-being.
Uh-huh.
It's an aspect I'm really curious to explore further.
Absolutely. Their spirituality seems to be deeply interwoven with their daily lives.
Okay.
They have this beautiful concept called mabui.
Mabui.
Yeah, which refers to the essence or life force that connects all things.
Mm,
It's tied to their Ryukyu Shinto religion, which reveres nature and ancestor worship.
it's a beautiful concept, this interconnectedness of all things. It resonates with me, even though I don't practice Shintoism.
Mhm.
It makes me think about how our own beliefs and values can shape our worldview and impact our sense of purpose.
Exactly. The book suggests that the spiritual connection,
Uh,
the sense of belonging to something larger than themselves,
Yeah.
might contribute to the Okinawans' overall sense of peace and contentment.
So it's not just about finding your individual purpose. It's about feeling connected to something greater than yourself.
Right.
Whether it's through community, nature, or spirituality, that sense of connection seems to play a significant role in their well-being.
It seems that way, but the book also explores the importance of resilience in the face of life's challenges.
Okay.
After all, even in a place as seemingly idyllic as Okinawa, life isn't without its difficulties.
That's a good point. How do they approach hardship and adversity? Do they have any, specific strategies for coping with life's inevitable ups and downs?
They do, and their approach seems to be a blend of philosophical and practical wisdom.
Hmm.
The book draws parallels between Buddhist and Stoic philosophies,
Okay.
emphasizing the importance of accepting the impermanence of all things and
Yeah.
focusing on what we can control.
That resonates with me.
All right.
I've found that trying to control things that are outside of my control just leads to frustration and anxiety.
Oh.
But how does that translate into practical terms for the Okinawans?
They seem to have this incredible ability to navigate life's challenges with grace and strength. The book suggests that they don't dwell on the negative.
Yeah.
They focus on the present moment
Yeah.
and find ways to adapt and grow from adversity.
So it's not about avoiding hardship. It's about learning to navigate it with resilience and even find meaning in the experience.
Precisely, and this ties back to the concept of wabi-sabi,
Oh, right.
which we touched on earlier. It's that Japanese philosophy of finding beauty in imperfection and impermanence.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the natural flow of life with all its ups and downs and finding beauty even in the unexpected turns.
And speaking of embracing the unexpected, the book also introduces a fascinating concept that goes beyond resilience:
Okay, what is that?
anti-fragility.
Anti-fragility.
Yeah.
That's a new one for me. What does that mean exactly?
It's a term coined by Nassim Nicholas Taleb
Okay.
in his book Anti-Fragile. Things that gain from disorder.
Hmm.
It refers to systems that don't just withstand shocks and stressors, but but actually become stronger as a result of them.
Wow.
The book uses the example of the Japanese construction industry after the 2011 tsunami.
Okay.
While many industries suffered, the construction industry thrived due to the massive rebuilding efforts.
So it's not just about bouncing back from adversity. It's about actually benefiting from challenges and using them as opportunities for growth and innovation.
Exactly. It's a mindset shift that moves beyond simply coping with challenges to actually leveraging them to our advantage.
Wow, that's a powerful concept. But how do we cultivate this sense of anti-fragility in our own lives? Do they offer any practical advice?
They do. The book outlines 3 key steps.
Okay.
First, create redundancies in your life. Don't rely on a single source of income, support system, or passion.
Mm.
Diversify your skills, interests, and relationships to create a safety net if one area of your life is disrupted.
That makes sense. It's like the old adage, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Mm.
Spreading your risk can help you weather any storm. What are the other steps?
The second step is to take calculated risks. Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and try new things.
Yeah.
Embrace the possibility of both success and failure as valuable learning experiences.
It's about finding that balance between playing it safe and pushing yourself to grow, right?
Precisely. And the final step is to eliminate sources of fragility in your life.
Okay.
Identify the things, habits, or relationships that drain your energy, create negativity, or hold you back.
That's a great reminder to take inventory of our lives and make conscious choices that align with our values and goals. But honestly, it can be tough to let go of things, even if they're not serving us.
It can be challenging, but it's an essential part of cultivating anti-fragility. The book suggests that by eliminating these sources of fragility, we create space for growth, resilience, and even joy.
This concept of anti-fragility is really resonating with me. It's such a proactive and empowering approach to life's challenges. But before we wrap up, I'm curious to hear more about the concept of flow,
Yeah.
which the book also explores in relation to finding one's Ikigai.
Oh, flow. This is where we tap into the work of Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi,
Okay.
who describes flow as that state of complete absorption in an activity where we lose track of time and feel a sense of effortless joy and fulfillment.
It's like being in the zone,
Yeah.
right? Those moments when you're so engrossed in what you're doing that everything else fades away.
Exactly.
It's an incredible feeling.
And the book suggests that finding activities that trigger this flow state can be a key to discovering and living your Ikigai.
So it's not just about finding a job or a hobby you enjoy. It's about finding those activities that truly light you up and allow you to lose yourself in the moment.
Precisely, and it doesn't have to be something grand or extraordinary.
Yeah.
The book even uses the example of a cheerful elevator operator in Tokyo who transforms her routine job into a graceful performance, finding moments of flow in the everyday.
I love that example. It reminds me that flow isn't necessarily about the activity itself, but the way we approach it, the mindset we bring to it.
Exactly. The book suggests that we can cultivate flow by choosing activities that challenge us just enough.
Setting clear goals
Mm.
and minimizing distractions.
That makes sense. When I think about the times I've experienced flow, it's often been when I've been fully engaged in a task that requires both skill and focus, and where I've been able to shut out the noise of the world and just be present in the moment.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where our skills and the challenge at hand are perfectly aligned,
Yeah.
and where we lose ourselves in the process.
This has been such an insightful exploration of Ikigai and the Okinawan approach to life. I feel like I've gained a deeper understanding of what it means to live a long, happy, and purposeful life. But before we wrap up, I'm wondering if we could circle back to the concept of finding one's Ikigai.
Yeah.
The book offers some strategies for discovering your own reason for being, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how we can put those strategies into practice.
That's a great question, and it's one that we'll delve into in our final segment.
Okay, great.
We'll explore some practical tips and insights on how to uncover your own Ikigai and start living a more purposeful and fulfilling life. Perfect. I'm eager to hear more. Let's dive in. Okay, so we've covered so much ground in our deep dive into Ikigai, from the cultural nuances of Okinawa to the power of mindfulness and flow, and even anti-fragility.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
It really has, but I think, we've arrived at the question that's probably on everyone's mind, which is, how do we actually find our own Ikigai?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
And the good news is the book provides some really helpful strategies to get us started.
Okay, great.
One that stood out to me was the idea of reflecting on your past experiences,
Okay.
particularly those moments when you felt a deep sense of joy or satisfaction or even flow, like we talked about.
That's a great starting point. It's like looking for clues within your own life story.
Exactly.
But sometimes those moments can feel, sleeting or kind of hard to pinpoint. Do they offer any tips for like digging a little deeper?
Yeah, they suggest asking yourself some key questions, like
I
what
see.
activities have you totally lost yourself in? What makes you feel truly alive and energized? What skills or talents come naturally to you?
Yeah.
What problems are you passionate about solving?
I like how those questions go beyond just like what we enjoy.
Right.
It's about identifying the things that really ignite a fire within us,
Mhm.
that make us feel both challenged and fulfilled.
Exactly. And another suggestion the book offers is to pay attention to what you're naturally drawn to.
Okay.
What kind of books do you gravitate towards? What topics spark your curiosity? What kind of work do you find yourself doing even when you're not being paid for it?
That's a really interesting point. I'm realizing that like some of my most fulfilling projects actually started out as things I was just passionate about,
Hmm.
not necessarily things I set out to do for any specific purpose.
I think that's often how it happens. Ikigai isn't always something we consciously seek out, you know?
Yeah.
It can emerge organically from our interests, experiences, and values. The book also suggests, like, experimenting with new
Yeah.
activities, stepping outside of your comfort zone and seeing what resonates with you.
It's about being open to new possibilities and allowing your ikigai to kind of unfold naturally.
Exactly. It's a process of self-discovery and experimentation.
Right.
And it's important to remember that your ikigai may evolve over time as well.
Oh, okay.
What brings you joy and purpose at one stage of your life might change as you grow and evolve.
That's actually a really comforting thought because it takes the pressure off finding that one perfect thing
Right.
and allows for more, flexibility and growth.
Absolutely. The Okinawan centenarians, they offer such a beautiful example of how to approach life with curiosity and resilience and that sense of purpose.
Hmm.
They remind us that it's never too late to discover our ikigai and to cultivate a lifestyle that really supports our well-being.
I think that's a key takeaway from our deep dive into ikigai.
Yeah.
It's not just about, finding your passion or your purpose. It's about embracing this like holistic approach to life
Mm-hmm.
that encompasses physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being.
Couldn't agree more. It's about creating a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling on multiple levels. It's about finding joy in the everyday moments, connecting with something larger than yourself, and embracing the journey with all its twists and turns.
So well said. So as we wrap up this exploration of ikigai, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
What small step can you take today to cultivate more joy, purpose, and resilience in your life?
Maybe it's reconnecting with an old friend, or finally starting that creative project you've been putting off, or simply taking a few moments to practice mindfulness and appreciate the beauty around you.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, remember that even small actions can create a ripple effect, leading you closer to a life that truly reflects your ikigai.
Beautifully put. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the heart of ikigai. Until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep those knowledge fires burning.